Hey guys, it's Kevin again, my review for The Beach Bum. And what The Beach Bum is essentially about is we center on the character of Moondog. He is very much a free spirit. He likes to spend the better part of his time when he's not, on a typewriter and things like that, trying to write poems. He is partying, he's doing drugs, and most of the film is just seeing the life through his eyes and things like that, his carefree attitude and his spirit, and basically just the wacky adventures that he gets into. So, The Beach Bum overall, I was definitely really excited for this film. Now, look, I am not that familiar with Korine. I have not really watched any of his films in the past before. Spring Breakers, Gummo, none of them have really been something that I've been exposed to. I know what they are, obviously, but I haven't really sat down and watched any of them. So I was a little bit worried that going into this, it would throw me off a bit, because I didn't really know what I was getting into. But the trailer, again, it looked really fun. It looked like it was going to be just a very different and just a really great time overall. And I'm very happy to report that's exactly what The Beach Bum is. This is a very entertaining film from start to finish, and there's a lot that goes into that, but we're just getting to right now, starting off with the cast. And I'll just say this right now, for a film that really doesn't have a lot going on story-wise, which we'll get into in a little bit, this cast is absolutely exceptional. I was so impressed by pretty much everyone here. I think everyone really does do an incredible job. But let's first talk about Matthew McConaughey, an actor that I absolutely respect. But I do think he's been struggling a little bit recently. Pretty much since his Oscar win and things like Interstellar, he hasn't really been giving the best performances. He's always done a good job, but he hasn't really had the best role. And I'm very happy to say this is easily his best role in a very long time. I adored him in this movie. McConaughey completely transforms into this character who really is just a lot of fun, has, like I said, a very carefree attitude. He spends a lot of his time just like listening to music and things like that, doing drugs constantly, and he just completely transforms in this character. You can tell McConaughey was having such a fun time overall, and I really loved what he did here. He gave much more commitment to the role than I think was really required, and that's when you know you have a great actor on your hands, and I just can't praise him enough here. He was fantastic. But someone else that impressed the hell out of me was Snoop Dogg in this movie. I've never really thought of Snoop Dogg as that much of an actor, but God damn it, he killed it here. I loved him in this role as Lingerie or Ray. I thought he was so fun here. Him and Matthew McConaughey work so well together. He basically is just this R&B singer that likes to sing about Moondog and things like that, and there's not really a ton more going on with him. There is a little bit of something more that I'm not really going to get into, but I really did enjoy him in this movie. I thought he was definitely a lot of fun here for sure, and the same goes for the rest of the supporting cast. Isla Fisher does a really good job as Moondog's wife. Stefania, LaVie, Owen is very good as his daughter. The cameos also in this movie are so great. Zac Efron, I adored in this movie. He's not in it that much, but for what he's in, he does a fantastic job. And let me just say, Martin Lawrence, he's really only in this movie for about like 10 to 15 minutes, but he might just be my favorite character in the entire movie. I loved him in this film. His obsession with, like, wanting to catch fish, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is this one particular scene with him involving these dolphins, and I have not laughed that hard at something in a very long time. It may just be the funniest scene I have seen so far this year. I was absolutely dying, and I loved what they did with him in this film. He was so fun to watch, and I hope we see more of him. I've honestly really missed Martin Lawrence as an actor, and I think this film, it shows that we really don't appreciate him enough, and I think we should, because he's such a fun actor. But overall, I really did enjoy this cast here a lot. I think everyone really does do an incredible job, and again, similar to McConaughey, there's a lot more effort put into these roles than really required, and I think everyone did a great job here. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, which I will just say right now, Korine's directing is fantastic here. This is pretty much what I would want this film to be, and I've heard Korine is a director that really does push the boundaries of cinema. He doesn't really follow a lot of the rules, and you can very much see that here. This film, it really is just trying to be a light-hearted romp, and it doesn't try to be anything more than that, and I think he does a great job. It helps that the film is wildly entertaining as well. well. I mean, Moondog as a character, you just fall in love with him as a character. You love his free-spirited attitude, and you really do get that vibe throughout the film. A lot of this film, it has a very go-with-the-flow type mentality, and I think Korine directed that very well. It also helps that the film is absolutely hysterical. I mean, there are so many funny moments in this movie, especially, like I said, the gag with Martin Lawrence for sure. I thought was probably the funniest moment in the entire film, but that's only one of many hilarious moments here. I mean, the second the film started out, you know what kind of film it's going to be. That's all I'll say. You definitely know what kind of film it's going to be, and if it has you, then it will absolutely, stick with you. And I think definitely just the humor here, it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's very easy to buy into, and I enjoy it a lot. When the movie does get dramatic, though, it actually handles it quite well. I was surprised dramatically how good this film handled it. I thought that the film was kind of dropped the ball when it comes to that, but it actually did blend in quite well, and I thought the comedy, the drama, when it's in there, it's not really in there that much, but I do think they tapped into it quite well, and I was overall very impressed by it here. And again, like I said, I can understand if someone doesn't like this film because it is very loose on storytelling, and I've heard that is a common complaint with Korine's directing. Here, though, it works because our main character is such a free spirit. He doesn't really seem to have that structured of a life, so because of that, he doesn't really play by the rules, similar to how Korine doesn't play by the rules, and I think the film, because of that, is actually excelled by his directing. And again, I can't say anything for his other films, but here, I think it definitely worked very well, and I was overall very impressed with the directing here. In terms of the screenplay, like I said, not a lot to talk about. A lot of this film is really just Moondog and the various sort of adventures that he has, because Moondog as a person, he's not someone that has a super eventful life, and that's fine. That's the kind of person that he is. He wants to just be a free spirit. He wants to just kind of party. He just wants to write poems. He wants to do a ton of drugs, and that's kind of all there is to his life. It doesn't mean that there isn't still a lot going on narratively, though, because there is still some semblance of a story here, and I don't want to get too much into it, but it did go in some directions that I really wasn't expecting, especially within the first, 40 minutes of this film. It takes a dark turn, and I was not expecting it to go there, and I thought they actually handled it really well, and again, it's because of that free-spirited attitude that the dramatic moments stick out that much more, and I thought they did that very well when it comes to the story. And the thing is, I wouldn't really want this film to be that much more than just a fun movie, and that's essentially what it is. Aside from those few moments that I talked about, this really is just a very go-with-the-flow type film, and if you are very easily entertained, I think it's going to stick with you. I think it's going to very easily get you into it. I think you're going to easily buy into it, and I think that's something that they handled very well here. But also just seeing the life of Moondog, the type of person that he is, the mannerisms that he has, the way he's able to light up a room and things like that, I do think is very well handled here for sure, and I definitely did enjoy that a lot. I just love seeing the life of someone who doesn't really play by the rules, who kind of just does whatever they want and doesn't really care about the consequences, and I think they handled that quite well. And look, most of the time in a movie, I would be upset if you have a character that didn't really have any consequences, and look, Moondog sort of does. There is sort of consequences given to him, but it's not super focused on, because again, the character of Moondog doesn't really care about the consequences. It's much more about just having the time of his life and trying to live life to the fullest, and the film is very much like that. And I can understand if for some people that is not enough. Trust me, I really do get it. In fact, for a while, I myself was like, is this really enough? Do I really love the fact that there isn't really that big of a story going on? But over time, I kind of thought, that's kind of intentional. The whole film is just looking at the world from Moondog's eyes and seeing things from his view. And I think it works very well if you look at it from that lens, and I was overall very impressed by that. The thing is, though, something else you should know going in this movie is that a lot of the characters, aside from Moondog, don't really feel the most developed. I'd say Isla Fisher feels very developed as well. There's a really great montage with her that I thought was fantastic, and I did not expect to get as emotional as it did, but I adored what they did with that. But in terms of all the other characters, they're pretty one note for the most part, but they don't really need to be anything more. They're there in the moment. They're there when Moondog needs them to be there, and I thought they did just enough with them. I pretty much did love all of the characters we got here, and I really couldn't have asked for anything more. I will say there is one aspect of the plot that I wish they could have tapped into a bit more here. I wish we definitely could have gotten more going on that side of the story, and maybe it's because I enjoyed a lot of these characters so much that I do wish we would have gotten a little bit more of them. Martin Lawrence especially. I loved his scene so much that I wish they showed just a little bit more of him here and there, and I will also say the ending to this film is pretty abrupt, the way things do conclude. It didn't really feel like an ending overall, but really other than that, I think writing-wise, this film is really well done. It's not trying to be anything more than it is, and that's one of the reasons why I really do love this film. The cinematography also here is probably some of the best I've seen so far this year. This is such a vibrant and colorful movie, and it really does, again, put you into that life. You feel like you're on that, you feel like you're on this boat with Moondog. You feel like you're just kind of chilling out with him, and I thought that was definitely handled very well. I really did enjoy the sort of Caribbean sort of setting they were going for here, and I thought it worked really well. The score is also a lot of fun, a lot of great, like, 70s music and things like that. If you like Jimmy Buffett, there's a lot of music from him here. He actually plays a role in the movie, which I thought was actually pretty funny what they do with him, and the editing, like I said, the movie can feel a bit abrupt at times, but for the most part, I thought this film was very well paced. There wasn't really a point where I wasn't into it, and I thought overall it was just a very sort of inviting film. So yeah, again, The Beach Bum, it's not the most developed film in the world. It's not really a film that is anything that deep, but it's not trying to be. It's trying to be a fun time, and it is exactly that. This is probably the most fun I've had with the film so far this year. It has a fantastically performance of Matthew McConaughey, some really great supporting performances, especially, like I said, Snoop Dogg and Martin Lawrence, I think definitely being the standouts for sure, but everyone really does do an incredible job. There are a lot of really memorable scenes, and it does get surprisingly a little bit more heart-wrenching than you would expect, but overall, I really did love The Beach Bum a lot. I really do encourage you guys to see it. I can understand if someone didn't like it, because again, it is very loose when it comes to storytelling, but for what it is, I think it does a great job at it, and I am definitely going to give The Beach Bum overall a B+. But overall, guys, in my review, The Beach Bum, let me know what you guys saw this film overall, love your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.